So can we talk about ways to acquire another language without living in a foreign country this time? Okay? I think it's possible to learn English even if you don't live in a foreign country because I have never lived in a foreign country. I've been living in Japan my entire life, but right now I can speak English to some extent. So I want to talk about this time.
Excellent.
Yeah, so let me talk about the details today. So in my opinion, English learners should use online English lessons if they want to be able to speak English. Well, if we use them in the right way, we will be able to speak English. But some people might say my English hasn't improved even though I have been taking lessons for a long time.
Right.
This is because they use the service in the wrong way. So I'm going to talk about how to use online English lessons efficiently. I think there are three important things we should think about for each lesson. Sorry for keeping talking.
No. Go ahead.
I think I speak too much. First, it's important to prepare for each lesson. In my case, I always prepare a topic, new words and expressions I use beforehand. If we take a lesson after preparation, we can learn more. The more lessons you take, the better our English is going to be. So I think preparation is very important. What do you think?
Absolutely. I also actually take a Japanese tutoring lesson once a week, and I totally agree. I made a habit of making lists of like words and phrases that I learn in Japanese when I'm studying on my own time. And then when I have questions about any of those, or if I'm not sure like how to use them correctly or, naturally, I'll make a list of all of those ones that I have questions about essentially. And then I take that to my Japanese tutoring lesson so that I can ask the questions about those things. And then that way my study is much more directed and I know what I'm going to get out of it, I think. And it's like then I learn to use those words properly and correctly. And then I have more context because it's easy. I think we've talked about this before, but it's easy to just kind of like, okay, I learned this word and you just learn it, but you have no context for it until you actually use the word. So then going into like a lesson with all of these new words that you want to use, for one, you'll learn how to use them correctly and naturally, but for two, just the fact that you're using them will then help your brain to remember them and give them context. So, and that could be the same thing with anything. Like it doesn't have to be just vocabulary. It could be with grammar or, whatever, any kind of questions you have. But yeah.
Yeah, like you said, context is important in terms of memorizing like words and expressions, phrases, everything. So
Yeah.
if there are like many contexts, it will be much easier for you to remember new things.
Yeah.
And let's see. Let me talk about more details about online English lessons. So in my case, there are some steps before taking an online English lesson. So let me talk about this. First, I decide a topic beforehand. So in this case, today's topic is about ways to acquire another language without living in a foreign country. This is today's topic. So this is the first thing I do before the lesson. And then I try to like make sentences beforehand. So in my case, I make a script for each lesson. And sometimes I just read sentences during my lesson. So yeah, that's what I do. This is the second thing. And third, I use AI to correct my sentences. So have you ever heard of like DeepL translation, DeepL write? Do you know these two tools?
I don't think so. Deep L?
Okay. Yeah, DeepL. It's AI and you can translate Japanese into English and vice versa. So you can translate English into Japanese as well. So in my case, I type Japanese in the box and then AI translates Japanese into English. So I can make a sentence even if I don't know how to say it. So I think this is very useful. Let me type it out for you.
Yeah.
What I said was detailed translation. And then after checking like the sentence, I use a dictionary and, I check the meaning of the word in a dictionary. And like I said, I use DeepL Write as well. So this is AI as well. And this tool corrects your sentence. So if you make a wrong sentence, this AI corrects your sentence. It makes more natural sentences. This suggests more natural sentences. So I think this is very helpful. And, sorry to keep talking all the time, but there's another,
No.
yeah, there's another tool called Ugrish. Do you know this one?
Haven't heard of that one, no.
I think this is famous for Japanese people. maybe for English learners, maybe
Mhm.
if you type a word in the box, in the keyword box, videos related to the word come out. So yeah, I think English is very helpful.
I think it sounds a little bit more natural to say videos come up here.
Come up.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
like come up or pop up, right? It's
Pop
almost
up.
like a search engine, right? Is what you're saying? Like
Yeah.
you type in a yeah. A lot of times we'll say the words like, for example, I searched dog and a funny video came up, for example.
Actually, I think it's a bit different from what I'm talking because let's say if I type dog in the box, videos which include the word dog come up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. I was just giving you a sentence though, just to use the word come up instead of come out.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah.
So yeah, if the word is used frequently, you can find out that the word is very common and the word is used by native English speakers in real life.
Oh, I
yeah,
see. That's extremely useful. That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can use all of these tools for free. I think English learners can make use of them. And there's another tool. I think this tool is helpful. HelloTalk. Have I ever talked about this tool before?
Is that an application where you can like meet people?
Yeah, so this is a language exchange application. I think
Right.
I might have talked about this, but you can ask questions online and native English speakers answer questions for free. But sometimes we should return the favor. So if they help us, we should correct them. We should help them as well. But if we ask questions online, they help me. So I always use this tool because I want to make the correct sentence. And when I don't catch like words when I subtitle my video, they help me. So I think this is helpful.
That's
Let's
great.
see. Yeah. And sorry, I think I keep talking, but yeah, this is the last one. So I think it's important to, read the sentence aloud. So before taking a lesson, you should practice speaking. If you do all of these, I think it's very effective in terms of improving your speaking skills. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've tried to make habits lately of doing that as well, like reading the Japanese out loud when I'm studying, and I found that it helps me, especially with words that I like am struggling to remember. I found that words or phrases that I'm struggling to remember, if I say them out loud, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and say this word or this sentence out loud like 5 times in a row.
Wow.
And then I say it like 5 times in a row and I put in all that extra effort, And then next time it pops up though, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one that I spent like 5 minutes saying. And then it's like easier to remember that way too. And then of course, you practice your pronunciation and everything.
Yeah, I think repetition is very important. And if you read the sentence aloud, you can think about your pronunciation and you can correct them.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, can I move on? Yeah, so second, I think it's important to use words and expressions you use in advance. So if you take a lesson, you use things you prepare beforehand, right? So I'm doing it right now. What did I try to say? I think it's important to practice using words and sentences you prepare beforehand.
Right, yeah. I mean, because otherwise there's not as much reason to prepare them, right? But yeah, you
Yeah.
have to give the preparation and really find a place to use them and bring them up
Yeah.
and practice them. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think if you have an opportunity to use them, you can use them next time. And the more experiences you have, the number of like phrases and sentences you can use increases. So every time you take a lesson, your English gets better.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
I think there's another thing that is important. So I think sometimes it's important to like imitate what the teacher says in the lesson.
Yeah. I actually think that you have pretty darn good pronunciation, but sometimes when I have students who are struggling to pronounce certain things, I'll make them repeat me over and over again, and I'll just like say the word, I'll be like walk, work, walk, work. And then I make them do the same thing, So then they're like walk, work, work. And then if they don't get it right, I'll be like, "Hey, that was a little sketchy. Let's do it again." But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, L sound and R sound are very difficult for Japanese people. Even now, I have a hard time like pronouncing them. Actually, yeah, they're so difficult.
Yeah. Pretty much most of my Japanese students always struggle with those.
Yeah,
And,
I can imagine. Yeah.
it's interesting because sometimes there are like certain words that they can say, but other words that they can't. I wish I could think of a specific example, but I found that with a lot of my Japanese students, when when the L or the R is at the very beginning of the word, it's not as difficult. But if it's in the middle of the word, it's harder. Like, the word difficult, because there's an L right before a T at the end. But if it's just like light or right, then usually it's easier for them to say. But
So can I say 2 words from now? So take a guess, okay? The first one, right. Which word did I say? Right.
right, like with an R, right?
Yes,
R.
yes, yes.
Yes, yeah,
One more time. Right.
right, yeah.
Which one?
That sounded like an R to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how about this one? Light.
That's very clearly an L. That's light. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. That was good. You're good there. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I think all of them sound almost the same for Japanese people, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I think it's the same for any language because I remember I had one of my best friends in college. She was Polish, actually, and her full name is Agnieszka, which I'm probably not pronouncing right now. But like she went by Aga because it was shorter and easier for native English speakers to say. And I was interested though one time and I was like, okay, like how do you like asking her about her full name, Agnieszka. And she did the same thing where she was like showing me, she was like, no, you're not quite pronouncing it right. And then she'd be like, Agnieszka. And she like kept trying to show me and she'd be like, this is the right way, Agnieszka. And this is the wrong way, Agnieszka. And they sounded the exact same to me. And I was like, I don't know. But so I can kind of relate. I think that's, how a lot of Japanese people feel with certain sounds in English. But
Yeah, certain sounds such as L and Earl, B and V, S and sh.
yeah.
Like all of them are difficult.
Yeah. And I think I was just working on this with one of my other students the other day. I wish I could remember what the word was, but it was something with an O because it was like, oh, gosh, I can't remember. I don't remember, but it was something with like an O sound, like O or ah, like hope
So for
or
example, how
hop.
about this one? Old, and all.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. He was trying to not that exactly, but it was just with a B. So the difference between bold and bald. Bold and bald. Yeah. And
Actually, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he was like struggling to pronounce the difference between the two, and even when I pronounced them, it was really hard for him to understand the difference between bold and bald. But yeah.
Yeah, they sound the same.
There you go.
I need to improve my pronunciation more. But anyways, actually there's another thing I wanted to talk about. So is it okay to talk about this?
Yes, please.
Okay, last but not least, it's important to review each lesson. I always review my lesson video after each lesson, and I always, check 2 things. So the first thing is like English, which I couldn't say. If you think about this, you can improve your speaking skills, right? And the second thing is English you couldn't catch. When I review my lesson, I can read like subtitles, like transcriptions, like on each video. So I always check like every single word, and I will find out what the teacher said later. I think it's important to why you didn't catch what the teacher said. It's important to analyze your weak points.
Yeah. I think you could say, I think it's important to figure out why you didn't understand what the teacher said. But yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is important. I feel like most students don't review their lesson videos. They don't look back on the lesson and they just take lessons. They just spend 25 minutes or 30 minutes and then they don't do anything later. They don't even prepare for each lesson. I think that's not good.
Right. I totally agree. And just going over the lesson video or any like new words or phrases or anything or pronunciations, reviewing those after the lesson, I think is also super important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I might have talked about this, but I teach English online and I always notice that many people don't prepare for each lesson, I think that's okay. But if they really want to improve their like English skills, I think it'd be better to prepare beforehand, because even if they use the same time, their English, I think if they do that, their English will get much better.
Absolutely, yeah. I think review and preparation are super important. But also, we are going to run out of time here and it's going to cut us off. But I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. Thanks so much.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Taku. Take care.
Thank you, John. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
現在、英語コーチング、英語ティーチングの生徒さんを募集しています。英語力が伸び悩んでいる、TOEIC の点数が頭打ちしている、継続することが難しい、このような方は無料カウンセリングへどうぞ。下の概要欄のリンクから申し込むことができます。ぜひ無料カウンセリングでお会いしましょう。